After washing your hands, you want to start to measure out your ingredients. The recipe says cream shortening sugar and brown sugar until it is nice and fluffy, approximately 3 minutes on medium-high speed. So I'm going to start with my granulated or regular sugar. Your mixer should have a paddle attachment. Let me show you how that works real quick. On every attachment there's a tiny little hole. You want to insert it right here and then move it over so it locks into place. And also you can see in my bowl I've actually done a 1/4 cup butter and a 1/4 cup margarine, and I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of shortening. Your recipe calls for 1 cup of butter. In some manner you can use all margarine, all butter, all shortening, whatever you want, just so that it equals 1 cup. For your brown sugar, you actually need to pack it. So it calls for a 1/2 cup of white sugar, and we're going to need a 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Use a spoon from your kitchen to pack it down. If you choose to measure Crisco and use that, you'll want to use a Wonder Cup. Alright, simply insert the clear part and then rearrange it to the amount you need. And I'm going to fill it with a spoon and then level it off with a spatula. I only use the Wonder Cup for measuring Crisco and peanut butter and sometimes honey. Find it very helpful. I would not use this for everyday measuring of your dry or wet ingredients. Nice thing is you can see on the edge where you have bubbles and you can push them out. Okay, so this will complete my cup of butter for my cookies. As I said before, I used a 1/4 cup of margarine, a 1/4 cup of butter, and now I'm doing 1/2 Crisco. So it should be interesting. Okay, I'm going to continue to beat this for about 3 minutes. Lock it, start slow. You can always raise the speed. Every now and then you do want to scrape the sides. Next, you want to prepare 2 eggs. They've been sitting out, so they should be mostly room temperature. Your eggs and butter and brown sugar are probably the only things that you're going to get from the demo table. The rest should all be found in your kitchens. Make sure there are no blood spots or shells. Okay. My creamed mixture is looking good. It's looking lighter in color, nice and fluffy. Scrape this down just a little bit. I'm going to add my 2 eggs, 1 at a time, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. It's important that you measure over a bowl different than what you're adding. Okay, you want to measure over a separate bowl. Baking powder, 1.5. Baking soda is 1 teaspoon. Leavening ingredients and some salt. I'm going to measure out 2 3/4 cup of flour. Flour is different than other ingredients in the fact that you have to carefully add the flour in. You don't want to pack it. And you will need to periodically clean your sides, clean your paddle. You want everything to be well incorporated. Our last ingredient to add would be chocolate chips. So scrape the paddle off pretty well. Okay, that could be the difference of a cookie or two if you aren't patient and don't do a good job scraping it off. Okay, that I would say is a pretty well scraped paddle. That passes. All right, to incorporate your chocolate chips, you're actually going to use your wooden spoon. If you try to use your paddle, it will most likely break your chocolate chips, which you don't want that. You don't want to beat this vigorously, you're just incorporating. If you beat it too hard, you're going to beat out some of that air that we've incorporated in. Your main leavening agents are baking soda and baking powder. So the baking sheets, I'm going to do one with parchment paper and one without. It's kind of a preference thing. All right. You want to evenly distribute them on your baking sheet. Make them all about even in size. Pot holder, pull out your tray. Push it back in. The recipe says 12 to 14 minutes. So any recipe, you always want to start with a smaller amount of time. Do you like cookies? Do you like cookies, Kingston? Okay, my timer is ringing. I'm going to open this up. Okay, these are just about perfect, okay? You want them just a slight brown, okay? Still almost a little bit wet and goopy because they'll bake a little bit on the sheet. I'm going to start my second batch. Okay. And that was 12 minutes. I'm going to do 11 and check again, and I might need to add 1 more minute. I'm going to let these cool for about 2 or 3 minutes, then I'm going to release them with a non-stick spatula. All right. I'm going to carefully move all the cookies over to another cooling rack. So you might need 2 or 3 cooling racks to kind of spread everything out. Just a reminder, if in between batches of cookies you go back to your group or you're using an iPad or writing stuff down, that you wash your hands before you touch things again.